Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are at the playoff stage of the UKLC. Our 4 teams locked in, our semi-finals are set. And at the end of the day, we'll have our 2 teams going towards the finals tomorrow. Jake, Hitbrain Matthews.
That's me.
Is here on my left. It's been a long time coming, this point. We've been working up. We've been literally climbing the tower week on week.
It doesn't feel like it's a long time coming as well. It's just kind of like, I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, it's playoffs. We're here already. Like, the last 7 weeks have just been a blur to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the hype and the energy of the whole thing. But yeah, I can't believe, I'm a little shocked, a little sad it's over already. It's not over yet, though.
Not over yet. We still have 2 days left of play. 2 best-of-3s and a best-of-5 tomorrow to decide who will be the king or queen / champion of the UKLC, but also who will take that group stage spot at the EU Masters. Now, Diabolos already have their play-in spot confirmed, but they can upgrade it by winning the playoffs to a direct group stage spot for the UK scene. So we've got a lot to play for over the next 2 days. Now, if you want to get involved in the conversation, and like I said, please do. I want more dinner offers. I want some art. I want you to compliment Jake's art. I want you to compliment Jake's hair. Hashtag UKLC at LVPUK on Twitter. Make sure that you're getting involved in the conversation, or I will personally come to your computer at home and make you join the conversation. I
was wondering where you were going to go with that. We might offer to cut their hair if you go there.
I am a home hairdresser, if you didn't know, so I can also do that.
Are you?
No.
Doctor, hairdresser, what aren't you?
I can do doctorly things, I suppose, though. So.
Yeah, I mean...
No, you don't. I know what you're thinking, man. I know what you just say out loud. If you want to have a look at Jake look awkward again in real time, you can go to @LVPUK on YouTube and check out all of the VODs. So make sure you do that. I know that all 10 of you do, but make sure you do.
Just get it in slow motion. You see the realization on my face, what's going on.
Oh, he wants to give me a what exam? Right. we have got a very special intro for you, by the way. And I think we're going to be jumping over. Are we jumping over to Dan? No,
we're not jumping over to Dan yet. He is ready. He is ready. We're gonna hold that tension. It's gonna do a little breakdown in a little bit.
Are we? So I think coming up to the finals, we've got a really special way of determining who we think is going to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, we tried DogChamp. If you were on Twitter, you saw that. DogChamp kind of cheated, just ate both. So it's kind of like a cop-out saying, well, one of these teams is going to win. For all of our games, so we got a new way to do our predictions.
We got a new way. We're actually going to be buying in to some pop culture right now.
Are we doing it now?
I don't know.
I don't think we're doing it now. We're going to hold that. There's more we're holding on.
What else are we going to? What are we going to now then?
I don't know. I thought we were going to Dan. I mean,
I thought we were doing the special prediction thing right now, but if
no, that's coming up later because we're going to get Orcs to come join us for that.
What's Dan?
Got Harry standing
over here.
Everybody's ready for our prediction stuff, but we got to wait. We got to hold fast for the moment.
Are we waiting for teams to get ready? Is that what I'm being told?
Probably.
See, I assume that
it's early in the morning. Most of them are asleep at this time.
Because we usually start much later on in the evening, and we're ready. I don't know what we're ready for, but I'm assuming
we're ready for Dan.
So let's go to Dan.
Hi guys, thanks for that. So,
we're professionals. Hi Dan.
Very professional. I want to have a talk about, because obviously everyone's been focused on playoffs and the teams leading to that. I want to talk a bit about my unsung heroes, or the players who have really impressed me. At the start of the split, I did a tier list. Some of these players I rated quite low. I know at least one of them was a bit annoyed about that, but they really impressed me. Calwood for Bulldogs has been a massive driving force for their team. Even in the losses, it feels like he's had a massive impact. Then we have Jackamaka for Barrage, who I didn't even rate him originally at the start of the split because he wasn't on a starting roster. Originally it was Nutri. He came in as a sub and arguably the most inexperienced person on the team and really stepped up and had a solid performance. Vizek, just a massive force in Enclave, who came 5th, nearly got that spot in playoffs, and his early pressure was just monstrous, and the fact he constantly drew Kindred bans. And then finally Aragon, who, again, I thought he was one of the more unexperienced players on Feeling, and he had that great game against Exile where he was finding solo kills against Exile and Sendo. So for me, these are my unsung heroes of the split, who, my honorable mentions, who have had great performances but weren't quite able to make it to playoffs. But I do believe we are ready for our predictions simulator, so I'll pass it back over to Jake and Kiernan.
I wish someone told me that section was happening. Like, I was here waiting with you guys. I was, yeah, let's get ready for the show. And then I was like, and I didn't even know Dan was doing this bit. Dan,
To be honest, I didn't know what he was coming on.
Come on, Dan. Come on.
We actually have a fourth member joining us.
We do. It's like the...
He's already set our prediction machine off.
Hang about.
Hold on. Sort it out.
I'm so scared.
So we've got a really, really good way of predicting the teams for victory here. And it is marble races.
Need to switch it around the other way.
Yeah, which way around's it going?
Okay.
This way. All right, this is actually a very, very...
Sophisticated.
This
is sophisticated.
This is about there.
High quality, this.
We need to make sure it's in the right... So, just let me get me straight. Yellow is who?
Fnatic,
And...
M&M, XL, Diabolus.
So we need to...
I like green marshmallows,
so we need to release the Fnatic and the XL marbles at the same time.
I think we're just doing all 4 at the same time.
We're doing all 4 at the same time.
I mean, actually, I
that
can't
literally makes no prediction sense.
It doesn't at all, but...
Let's do...
Is that for who's going to win the whole championship, though?
Maybe.
We'll do each semi-final, and then we could do the final according to this.
Yeah.
Okay, we will bring it back tomorrow. Maybe marble...
No, but I mean, we could do... So if we do Fnatic and XL, and Fnatic win, they're through to the finals.
Oh, okay, but we can do that tomorrow morning, right?
Actually, why don't we just not play League of Legends? We just do this,
let's
and we
play
just
Marvel.
sort out our European Master spot this way.
Okay, so let's do the semi-final. So this is Fnatic and this is XL. Ready?
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. This is so good. All right, who's going to win it? Who's going to... It's so close!
Oh, it's Fnatic! Fnatic got it first! Fnatic, according to the marbles... I don't know if you can zoom in here.
I've lost my marbles!
That was so close. All of our testing had shown that blue wins almost 99% of the time. But right at the end, Fnatic got the victory. I'm excited we have a live action replay.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm very excited.
We've got a live action replay of the marble race. So let's have a look at that prediction.
Am I being clipped out?
Hopefully we have our replay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Should we do the next one?
Do you want to do the next one?
I want to take this one.
Okay, let's do that.
Right, you ready?
We're doing 3, 2, 1, go?
Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
Wait, on go or on free?
Jake, stop it.
3, 2, 1, go.
No,
Slow start for Diabolus.
We need to stop.
Oh, there we go. This is just
why did you open up? Come on, right. You're relegated. Right, before we get we've got a replay. We have got the replay of the first race ready for you guys. So let's have a look, and you can see in real time this prediction. This is literally just
it's in slow-mo.
This is just a replay of us pressing the buttons.
Wow.
I thought I was getting a zoomed-in replay.
Just an amazing start all around. Looks like...
Oh, wait a second. There it is. Oh, you can see Fnatic dropping down very quickly, making their way down to the bottom with XL just chasing at the end. You can see.
And it's so close.
Wait.
No, I think
I think XL might have won.
No, it was just Fnatic on this side. You see, the camera didn't catch it, but it just came out of the back just.
Can we get that again?
Let's
just the end. Is that a doable thing?
No.
Let's just replay of the action.
Wait, I'm still doing it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, you can do this one.
Okay.
All right, you
gotta press it. You gotta press it real hard, okay?
Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, that's
Oh,
bad.
there we go. It just takes practice.
All right, Diabolus on the run, always taking time right now as M&M pushes straight down to the bottom. M&M getting so close.
It didn't switch off! What was that?
And somehow Diabolus has ended up with XL in the dumpster.
It bounced.
Is that a
That was-
reverse
I
sweep?
came back
or-
in. If we do this 1,000 more times, I don't think that'll ever happen again.
That was awesome. I can't wait for the
Holy
replay of
moly.
that. Not
So
gonna lie.
Diabolus actually switched semi-finals in the middle of their semi-finals, go back in time, and then take the place of XL, but still lose to Fnatic.
Here it comes, the replay. You can see here, Diabolus had a slow start in the swirly pool.
Need to watch him.
M&M getting that good start down the windy road, and you see M&M just have a confident win. Diabolus, they just go, you know what? Let's just cop out at this point. They jump up, they jump into the next one, and join XL down in the dumpster.
That is crazy.
That was crazy.
They recognise that
so much better than
they've
League of
already got
Legends.
the one
You
ticket
can't
in.
script this. You can't write this. This is just perfect prediction
All right,
material.
so who we got? We got Fnatic and M&M are apparently
The
Yeah, so we're gonna
marble-based
do Fnatic and
predictions.
M&M
So
again?
that's M&M there.
Oh wow, we're actually doing the full simulation.
Yeah, let's just, this is...
Okay.
You know on NEC they have their
3,
simulations.
2,
This is how
1,
we do it.
go.
No, I screwed it.
So it's not as easy as it looks.
It's not as easy as it looks. You've got to press it.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, well, it looks like M&M have a good start. Fnatic get a speedy
Oh,
one.
they're
They just drove! They pick Kale and they jump off the map.
They are out of here. So,
All right, well, according to our highly sophisticated
Prediction
prediction
methods.
system,
Fnatic
win.
Fnatic win. So congratulations, Fnatic. According to the marbles. Oh.
Don't.
He got me in the nuts. He got me in the nuts.
I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Knocked out.
Have we got an action replay of that? Oh my word.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm actually crying. You all right? Do you need a doctor?
Well, at least you've already given birth to a child.
I didn't realise the whiteboard CPR was going to come back to hold me that much.
It's karma.
Oh my lord!
Oh, I got a cast now.
It's just been a little bit
slightly
higher.
higher pitch.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what to do now. You're a man down. Harry, you're up. Your moment's here.
Oh, we got a VT or something? Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a little look at our highlights from last week, I believe. From last week.
Well, from this week, I don't know.
this
There's literally, I honestly now my brain is scrambled because orcs need me in the nuts.
Just extreme pain. I think it's this week. It's just the Wednesday and Thursdays matches.
Oh, see, this guy who's in production, he knows what's going on. It's Wednesdays and Thursdays matches, replays. We're going to look at some of the highlights, working up to the final week of playoffs. And we'll be then jumping into our first semi-final, where I'll also be recovering.
All right, well, let's
so
have a little
sorry.
look at our replays.
Oh, we've got to keep talking over these replays. This is up to you. Actually, this is your moment to shine, Harry. There you go.
Good lord. Which one's this? It's the Elder fight. And I don't remember what happened. I don't really see the specifics of fights. I do not remember. But it looks like he's got a clean javelin engage, bit of 10 zoning on the back line. Imagine Felix picking up his first kill. Elder just slapping people down, and good god, my memory is just scuffed. Oh,
It's okay, it's okay.
oh, is this when like it was really even and this is the fight that brought it back in? Yeah.
You did try.
You did try. I mean, now we didn't really think about this. I've now got to get past all the
Yeah,
marble
there's a
debris.
lot of rubble.
Actually, Dan, you need to cross over me here.
Yeah,
There
okay.
you go.
Oh, this was great from Dan when he just walks in, steals Infernal Dragon, and a more proactive Dan was what we saw last.
You were good there, Dan?
You just unplugged me.
I didn't unplug you.
You just stepped on the wire.
Yep.
You sound fine to me.
fine.
You sound fine, mate.
I can't hear anything.
You I love all these tweets. Wait a second. Let's have a look
My
at this.
in-ear is just gone.
Your in-ear has just
I can't
gone.
hear anything.
Well, you can see some high quality. There we go. Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
No. Oh god.
I can still hear you, Dan, so don't worry about that.
Okay, I'll just keep talking about the plays. So big plays coming out from Kyrros and his Cho'Gath, and the whole of Dabless putting a massive comeback towards XL in a game that.
Can you hear anything yet, Dan?
No, I still can't hear anything.
You still can't hear anything. Well, I have no
My
idea what's
in-ear's
happened.
dead.
Let me just fiddle with your microphone headset.
Oh god.
Okay, I'm not going to knee you in the nuts or anything. So maybe we should just take one of your ears off. Can you hear me now?
Well, I can hear you.
Do you need to hear anybody else?
It'd be nice to hear the game.
It'd be nice to hear the game. Oh, this has all gone wrong since Dan kneed me in the nuts.
Such as wait, isn't this important? Is this? No, that's not from mine. Oh, what is happening?
It's okay, Dan. I can hear now. You can hear now. Can you not hear?
No.
You can't hear anything?
No, nothing.
Something's gone horrifically wrong. I can hear Jake. Jake's casting over the top of it. Let's have a look at this. Oh, this is the Kerberos. He flanks. Gets a huge play here onto Phelan. Oh, that's monstrous from Kerberos. Absolutely monstrous. Slams Phelan down.
Can't hear anything.
And there you go. You can see Diablos cleaning up. User as well. Having a brilliant... I didn't step on anything, Dan. Don't you blame me.
I'll blame you.
This looks exactly the same. Mine looks exactly the same as yours. Look, there you go. Looks exactly the same.
And there is the calling. A Chu gets blown up as well.
Oh.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes, hello.
Okay, I can now hear you.
You can now hear me. All right. I don't know why I've got my T-shirt tucked in. Oh, I had to take my my jacket off because unfortunately that got me very flustered, that opening show. I actually have maybe just performed the most unprofessional opening of a show I have ever done in my entire career.
I think mine was very professional.
No, that was awful for me. And as you can see, this is what the UKLC is all about. We're about us having fun, maybe you laughing at us from being so awful, but that's, you know, that's what we're about. We're about just being
Are you okay
completely...
after the fall? I am really sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
I did warn you. I did say make sure you step back.
I didn't expect you to fully bring the knee round. You know, like you really did bring the knee round in a proper roundhouse kick.
Well, it's good form. You gotta have good form.
You did have good form, but it struck me squarely in the groin, which
Sorry.
It's okay. But to be honest, I did slam a whiteboard into your teeth yesterday.
Yeah, so you know.
You know, swings and roundabouts. Karma. That's anything. If that's anything for you to learn from, chat, it's karma. It instantly gets you back. Like just 2 days later, from doing CPR on a whiteboard, Dan whacks me real hard. That's okay though. That's okay because we're in to picks and bans for our first of the semi-finals here. XL taking on Fnatic, and probably one of the most crucial matches of the entire playoff weekend, because both of these, the LEC teams, only one of them is going to be making the EU Masters.
Yeah, and it's obviously going to be a big upset. For the fact that only one can make it is already a bit of an upset. A lot of people coming into the split thought both teams would be the top two. So now that it's do or die for both of them, a lot is on the line. And Fnatic had the highest seeding, so they chose red side game 1. Game 2 will be XL's choice, and then back to Fnatic. So that's the advantage they got from Thursday when they ended up winning out in the Tower Challenge. And we've had a very quick draft here. A lot of bans we sort of expect. We've seen various things like this throughout. Taxa getting denied his Sejuani and the Rek'Sai from Dan. But that means quickly an Olaf pickup for Taxa, which is also quite a good denial away from Dan.
Yeah, Dan has been performing really well on the Olaf. And if we look at the actual overarching story here, Fnatic have a 3-1 record versus XL over the course of the entire UKLC split. So if you're going by kind of previous engagements, Fnatic are the likely sort of victors in this scenario. However, we've changed things up from the UKLC format usually. We're now into a best of 3 format where things can change between games, and we're into a full series bonanza. And remember, Fnatic are currently in form. We said that, you know, coming past the Tower Challenge, the final.
Shut up. They picked it. They are playing the Sona Taric bot lane. Right, this got played, it's been fringing, it's been played in Korean solo queue, got played by TSM Academy. Basically, you have no AD carry, you have essentially 2 supports in the bot lane, and I'm pretty sure the gold goes towards the Sona, and it's just the amount of sustain they have.
I don't know if you give the gold towards a Taric, so.
Well, yeah, the amount of gold, the amount of sustain you have is just so hard to deal with. You can't really shove them out of lane because of the healing. And then later on, it's just like you have the utility of both of those champions. So they're going to need some damage in the rest of the comp.
You need some hyper carry damage from the rest of the compositions though, right?
Well, you need some damage at least. It's a sort of composition that you want to... If you don't have a hyper carry, you sort of fall off after mid-game. But it's just...
You can snowball it though.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so hard to deal... Like, you look at the bot lane on the side of Fnatic, you have a Vayne and a Braum. You're just going to get poked so heavily by that Sona, and then there's no real chance of engaging on it because the Taric it negates you so much with the stun. So
even if Xin Zhao turns up, you've got sustain and stuns and everything. So and plus the movement speed of the Sona will make it difficult.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, but it's been played a lot more. I haven't actually seen it in competitive yet. I have just heard about it, but it's been played a lot. So this isn't too crazy to come out. It's not like the first instance it's been played in competitive, but it's quite bold for XL to come in game 1 and say, look, this is what we're going to play.
Game 1's the game to do it. If you're going to come into a best of 3 series and you're going to bring something that's supposed to take the enemy by surprise, that is the game that you want to do it. So yeah, I can envision this lane is quite toxic to play against. I can imagine just from the outset.
Yes.
I do feel like we're relying on XL to have a really big carry mid laner coming through here. Because, you know, when you're running with an Olaf, he drops off, like he's going to drop off as the game goes on. He might even run Redemption. You know, you might see a full Redemption Olaf here where you've got plenty of healing on the team, and then you're going to have like a high carry mid lane or a high carry top lane.
I would lean towards a more damage Olaf. You already have so much support and utility from Taxa, from Inax and Kasang on these champions.
That you don't technically need.
Yeah, and then they've given over the Corki to Magifelix, so this is a massively scaling composition for Fnatic Rising. So we talked about how, yeah, the Sona's damage is going to fall off later on. I mean, it still does a ton. You have that Q-empowered auto. It really hurts. But in terms of DPS and team fights, Fnatic Rising are definitely winning out.
Yes.
So it's going to come down to what can XL round out their team comp with so that they win that early and mid game.
That is definitely a statement being thrown down there by, I assume it's XL. It's only been played once in the UKLC so far with a 100% win rate.
It was a great performance from him. You have to assume it's XL. It's because the thing with Corki is that you pick Corki when you want to have a free lane. You farm up, you scale, you get strong. You pick Zed when you want to stop that from happening. Has had some changes recently, so in a better position. But XL, they're coming out with some wild picks, and then the final one will be that.
That is a hyper carry top laner as well.
They have the damage on the rest of the composition, and they have the Sona Taric to facilitate it. Now it comes down to Fnatic, who are actually going to take that Kayle, so even more scaling. Going over the side of Fnatic Rising, the Kayle makes sense to me because they're playing that into a Vladimir. Both are just going to scale up to the late game, but it's really going to come down to execution here. and whether the Zed can get... I mean, more than just whether the Zed can get ahead, it's all about can they threaten these carries.
I think what we're looking at here is a timer for XL. Like, we have seen them run compositions that have this kind of flat timer on them as well before. They do have the scaling of the Vladimir, but they're going up against a Kayle, a Corki, and a Vayne, 3 hyper-scaling carries.
Yeah.
If we get to 30 minutes and XL are not a significant amount of gold in the lead, they've probably lost this game. You know, unless they can land the perfect wombo combo of Vladimir and Sona
It's not even so much just the wombo combo. It's just, so if they play front to back, they just lose.
Yeah.
They just
They
don't
have to
win.
find a flank. They have
to find that backline access.
Yeah.
It's like the game we saw where Shikari was playing the Kennen later on. If you find that beautiful backline ultimate, if the Zed and the Vladimir come onto the backline and Fnatic is scattered, they can still win essentially at any point, but it does get harder.
Yeah,
you know,
I
it
think
gets harder and harder.
The more items, the more defensive items as well, especially that are built up. You know, Zed can pop anyone. If he gets ahead at any point in the game, Zed's going to be able to pop anyone. They also can pretty effectively 1-3-1, remember. They've got a Zed and a Vladimir. They're going to push side lanes really nicely.
Well, up until the Kayle becomes Kayle.
Yes.
I do think one big thing is the fact that I really want to see how well they coordinate with the Taric, because if they pop the Tarical as they're going in with the engage, that's going to be really difficult to deal with, because you'll have an Olaf who can't be CC'd and can't die. You'll have a Zed who can't be killed. It'll be really difficult to deal with that if they're just running at you. So I think the burden is on Fnatic, on XL to make things happen early and then transition that into a strong mid game. But
for Caster's benefit, Taric will take the farm until Spellthief's Edge upgrades to Frostfang, and then Sona will take the farm. I don't know if you want to tell the casters.
I'd heard about that. It's similar to the Frostmancy, because that still works when you have 2 people in a lane. So the extra gold goes to Sona from just poking and harassing. And then after the point where you have that fully upgraded item, because obviously every CS you take as a Sona, you delay that upgrade for longer. So you give the gold over the Taric, so he actually gets a lot of gold for a support, and then the Sona just builds up that Frost. Essentially, it's the Frostmancy we saw, but a way that can still be worked on the current patch. And then once that's completed, she'll just take the gold. Obviously, you're not going to take as much gold as, say, the Zed and the Vlad will in the mid to late game, but you will have a lot of gold for a Sona, which is why you do go for that full AP build path and pump out a lot of damage. And then a big thing as well is because you have that Frostmancy and you have the Taric, you'll have a lot more vision control in terms of support items, because you'll have essentially 2 sight stones on your team. So these are the benefits. The downside is, you know, if you fall behind on it and you're up against a Vayne Corki, you don't have that reliable AD carry who's just going to be able to carry team fights. So
let's sort of get in the minds of the junglers here, because I feel like if Dan is staring down this composition, he's probably realizing in his head that he's going to have a huge impact on a Xin Zhao, and if he can impact the lanes in the right way, you can essentially shut down some of that hyper aggression that XL, especially from the bot side of things, will be wanting to put down. Do you think Dan is a case of I need to spend my time bot side of the map? Do I just leave the Vladimir and Kayle on an island? Like, what do you think is going through Dan's mind here?
I think he needs to be unpredictable. I think if you find any lane as possible, I think you want to protect mid. If Zed goes in, then obviously you can punish him, but more often he's just going to be able to get away. So you have to be a bit cautious about that. Top and bot, both options.
All right, we are into game here. XL versus Fnatic, the semi-final of the UKLC playoffs, and the 2 LEC sister teams are taking each other on. And this is a spicy one, a very spicy one. Inax on Sona. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, well, he's playing that for his team. See the sweeper picked up by Taxa to help clear down some early vision. But yeah, so obviously Kleptomancy is available on the Sona and has got that support item. So in lane, all you're going to do as that Sona is just harass until you get that upgraded item. And then Kissing is going to be the one picking up the gold in the early levels. And it just means, compared to a standard bot lane, the overall gold you get is going to be higher. And then a Sona with a lot of gold behind it is going to impact the game far sooner than a Vayne will, just regards to the utility and also the burst damage between that Q auto. And the thing is, the sustain damage of XL isn't actually that bad. Zed, Olaf, and Vladimir, in a mid-game teamfight specifically, have enough damage to deal with the enemies. The only concern I have is late game. When they get to those later stages, you're dealing with a Kayle, Corki, Vayne. It's not going to be an easy time.
I think you're looking to try and get past this sort of the laning phase really quickly here for Inax and Kissing. Like, you're going to want to try and take those turrets and rotate and start to snowball things. I mean, you're going to have that range on Sona, so when you have the extended range on Sona with the empowered basic attacks, with a short range AD carry like Vayne, you are going to struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. You go away just as they hit the wave just as we want to see what was going down. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what build Shikari goes on this Kale. Triforce Rapid Fire has been the star in the UK, but I did see Nemesis play it yesterday in the semi-finals at LEC, and he went Blade doing King Ginsu's, and it came online pretty early and was pretty effective. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that. And Dan putting a lot of focus on this bot side already. Inax and Kasing not able to get the shove because they have to respect that Jin Zhao.
Yeah, but I think that's clever play from Exile and Kasing. I think they realize, especially at level 1, they are definitely going to be vulnerable to a level 2 gank coming out from Dan. And actually, he did just move down, straight down from red to that bot side of the map. Hasn't taken many jungle camps. And has fallen a little bit behind Taxa because of that.
Well, that's the thing, is that I said Dan needs to be unpredictable to get these ganks to work, and he has been, but Exile read it, and so as a result, he's just kind of put himself behind. It's only a small degree at this point, but Taxa's feeling comfortable. He's recalling now. He'll be able to pick up the boots, so he has access to Predator, and then head to his top side, clear his blue buff and his Gromp, and then he can decide what he wants to do from there. The top Scuttle's still available, so he'll likely pick up that as well, and he's in a pretty good position in this early game on that Olaf.
Yeah, Taxa's having a pretty good start. Actually, I'm thinking about that bot lane matchup in a bit more detail. When you were trying to give your gold over to Taric in the initial early game, you're likely going to be shoved in anyway because you're trying to donate every single CS to the melee person in your particular lane matchup, which makes it a little bit more difficult to consistently get yourself close to the waves because Taric is going to be, you know, threatened by the Vayne more than the Sona would be. So,
well, I think the big thing is that by poking consistently on the Sona, you can shove. You'll end up shoving, but in this case, oh, we are seeing Taxa. He's going for an invade on the rafters. Does get it, and Magi Felix is very low here.
Yeah, he actually burns the Ignite. The barrier does keep Magi Felix alive. That was a really nice zone away by Exile there, and forces a summoner for summoner trade. But Dan does get back there in time. I think he picks up a couple of the small raptors. But Taxa's definitely starting to put the boot down onto Nan for sort of showing himself level 2 early at the bot side of the map.
I think you take that as Exile because it gives him control of where the wave's going to be. And then crucially, it means no barrier available for Magi Felix when he hits level 6. And crucially, when Exile hits level 6 on his Zed. And that's when the real kill pressure is there. And you have to be scared. Inax called very quickly there to pick up that Frostfang. So it shows the importance of getting those extra stacks.
Sendu, traditionally, we've kind of been critical of Sendu over the last, I guess, even a year or so. I mean, even from Forge of Champions last year, I think a lot of people were saying maybe Sendo's not what he once was when he first came onto the UK scene. But seems to be doing okay versus Shikari in the early levels here.
I mean, it's one of those situations where you're a range champion, a melee champion.
Yeah.
It's understandably good. I think the matchup is going to become very Vladimir favored when he hits around that level 9 point. But then once Kale hits level 11 onwards, you do have that range sort of match. Been quite a slow start so far, but a lot of interesting picks, and it's interesting to watch this bot lane develop.
I mean, you can really see actually that Kasing and Inex are starting to struggle here. Massive CS discrepancy, even with the 9 on Sona.
Yeah, but you've got to think about the extra gold that they picked up. It'd be more indicative if we saw the gold difference. Taxa actually being found here.
He's a level up on Dan, but Dan is ready to go in on this particular engage. Now Taxa forced to flash. Exile wasn't able to respond in time, and Dan very, very aggressive into the jungle side of Exile.
And that's a tendency. He has a red smite for better skirmishing, and it tends to be whoever finds the other one wins, and he's now found Taxa again.
I think Taxa's just dead. Dan jumps in. Really, really powerful invade from Dan, and actually, despite that poor start, again, unpredictability is key, and now he's going to threaten that bot side of the map once more. Kasing actually forced the flash out of Dan straight away here.
You have to be very cautious of that stun from the Taric. That lockdown comes in, the damage will follow up, and Dan makes a choice to get out quickly. But he does get this, the biggest part of that Krug's camp and the kill on Taxa, which is pretty huge.
X-Matty goes back with 45 CS in his pocket. They actually managed to keep the wave in a really favorable position for them as well, pushing towards their own side tower. And actually, for the most part, Inax and Kasing have been zoned out in this laning phase.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not too big of an issue. As long as Inax is still able to get the stacks on that Frostfang,
yeah,
they're going to be in a decent position. Vayne does have that Vam Scepter, so they're going to have a bit of lifesteal. But again, Vayne's not really going to have a massive impact in the game until that 2-item point. And it's really Inax and Kasing who are going to apply more pressure in the early stages.
Taxa is now behind in CS to Dan as well, so despite that great early start, Dan has brought himself back into this game. Now Shikari going in onto Sendo pops the ultimate back. I think that's just going to be a trade for trade up there. I don't think anybody's going to go down.
Yeah, just some back and forth trade. Then both top laners testing their limits, but nothing too crazy. Ignite and barrier back up. XL does have his 6 though, and it's a rated Dirk, so Felix has to be careful. Dan just going to go back to farm, and Tax back to farm. Dan now level 6 on the Xin Zhao. So
Taxa should hit 6 once he picks up that red buff as well, I believe, so they'll be pretty close.
Pretty close, but other than Dan's great invade, not too much impact so far in the lanes.
XL doesn't take a very good trade there. Felix looks to turn the knife just a little bit. And XL has to be very careful now because Felix has performed so well on this Corki throughout pretty much all of the games that we've seen him play. Now you talk about the Frostmancy stacks and the damage coming out there. They actually kind of go in onto this particular match now. Matty jumping in with that ultimate. There's a big level discrepancy between Inax and Matty right now, with a big wave to work with too. I mean, Matty's had actually a really solid laning phase here.
Absolutely. I mean, the pressure just hasn't been there from this Taric Sona, and it's still going to have the utility later on, but you're up against a Vayne. That damage is going to come in huge. So there are some concerns regarding that.
Yeah, and I think, you talk about, oh, well, the CS might not look so good, but we've got the Frostmancy stacks. I mean, we are 30 CS up almost, 20 maybe if you can count both the CS stacks between Inax and Kasing. So it's, he's probably offset that advantage of the Frostmancy just by having the extra CS.
Well, I mean, you look at the gold, and Inax is only 300 behind Mai.
But does he want to be? See, when you say only, as a solo Taric...
Yeah, but then in comparison, Kasing is 500 gold up on Frostfest, so the total lane gold is higher. And you got to remember, Vayne needs those 2 items before she's really going to start putting out considerable damage. The utility from these supports, especially with that much gold behind them, because normally a Sona or a Taric, they can impact the game with minimal amounts of gold. When they have a lot more here, they're going to impact it more significantly in those mid lanes, in those mid-game stages. And Tier's been picked up by Inax. We'll go towards that. Seraphs is a standard build for the Taric Sona bot lane. Just you have more mana to spam, and it's very quick to stack this up.
I'm very disappointed in you, viewers. No one tweeted me about Dan smacking me square in the groin.
Disappointing.
There were no tweets about it.
I guess everyone was just stunned.
I wanted some sympathy.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Dan got some sympathy when he got a whiteboard thrown in his head. But,
Pretty cold.
Oldie scoundrel, no sympathy.
Maybe because it was karma for yesterday.
Maybe because it was karma, that's true. All right, so let's take stock of where we are in this game right now.
Dead even in gold.
Dead even in gold. No real advantages being opened up. And this is kind of, I think, where Fnatic would have wanted to be at 10 minutes into the laning phase. They've still got a lot of work to do to make sure they get to the late game. But they're at a stage where it's like, well, we've got a late game scaling composition, and by 10 minutes, there are no significant advantages across the lanes. That's not bad for us.
Yeah, absolutely. They picked up the Cloud Dragon as well, so that's good to start off. We do now see that the Frostfang has been upgraded. So Inax will start taking the farm at this point.
Felix just going to use that. Oh, Exile gets caught out, potentially has to dive away as Dan jumps in. The ultimate comes through. Oh, Exile still gets caught, but luckily, no one wanting to go in because they realize he does have that ultimate too. And actually, with the rotation up of Prosper and Xmati, they're going to go straight for the Rift Herald. Yeah,
and they should just be able to pick this one up fairly easily. No real contention. Singh has walked up on his Taric.
They're a little bit late to react here, I think, XL, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is great from Fnatic. If you want to stop an abusive lane of Sona Taric, just rotate out of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Even though the lane phase hasn't been too
difficult anyway.
Difficult at all.
And Fnatic, LEC team, following the footsteps of their main LEC team and saying, well, we are happy to just pick full scaling.
I mean, if you win early on a scaling composition, it's going to go pretty favorably.
It's pretty bad for XL, actually, now. They're losing so much turret plating at the top here.
Yeah, and it's all going over, well, not all, but a lot, fortunately, is going over to that Vayne, who's going to be problematic later on. And XL can still, they can still win things further into the game. It's just the burden is going to be so much more difficult because you have to find the pressure onto the squishy carries. And we do see Shikari has followed in the footsteps of Nemesis and gone towards that Blade of the Ruined King. Most likely going to follow up with Ginsu's, gives a really solid 2-item spike. And I mean, we saw Nemesis get a pentakill on it. So there's a reason that build is sort of risen to popularity. Maybe that's why Artorias and K-Boss weren't doing as well with the Triforce Rapid Fire. Just, could think of that. Yeah,
no, obviously, with KL being such a new champion in terms of being involved in competitive, I mean, Sona's just doing no damage right now to Matty. I think they are struggling. But yeah, with her being so new to competitive, you're always going to be looking for new builds and always going to be looking for new opportunities to to find out what the best thing is in terms of the way to make them work and scale better, and looks like that's been the case here when Nemesis brought that extra build to the floor. Yeah,
and then Shikari obviously up to date on things. I mean, it's probably been seen prior to that. I don't know if you know this, but Shikari and Nemesis are actually in the same org.
They are.
So, but likely it's been played in solo queue and they've seen its success, and then it's resulted in it popping up here.
Sendu now being targeted here by Shikari. Here comes Dan too. He's going to pull away. Don't think Dan will be able to follow too much up on that. And Sendu very happy to just use that ultimate and pop back. Shikari not having to use anything in return. But really, none of these lanes going massively in favor of XL right now. And that is a worry if you're going up against a very late game scaling composition.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the concern, is that if they keep getting this lead when they have these hyper carries, it really does make you worry as to
Matty and Prosper did realize what was going on there, and they did back off and just let Taxa show himself on the top side of the map. Here comes Dan, though. They will be able to defend this, and actually you saw Exile back out of committing to that Blast Cone move. That's a nice piece of play there by Matty and Dan, just to be a little bit patient with moving back towards their tier 1 turret on the top side of the map.
Yeah, and it just shows this control is again going over to the side of Fnatic. They're not letting things go away, and this Sona Taric was picked confidently. You expect to do well in the laner phase on this, and then the fact that it just hasn't come to fruition is a bit concerning. Fnatic showing a good level of control, and it really comes down to, can Sendo or Exile get to the point where you're justified in having 2 supports to buff them up?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is going to rest on Sendo and Exile, who are both farming pretty well, by the way. They're slightly ahead of their lane counterparts, so maybe Inax and Kasing are just happy to sit back and say clear waves, you know, become big supports. Matty, though, jumps in onto Inax here. We have to be so careful as Inax gets locked up with the Ignite. Not going to use that ultimate. Here comes the Taric ultimate. A little bit late from Kasing. Way too late from Kasing. And that's going to be another kill going over to Matty.
I think he got mixed up. Shikari is on Kayle. He's on Taric. You have to use it preemptively. And it just came in so late. They end up falling. And this Taric Sona bot lane really hasn't done what they'd hoped to do in this game.
It was a risky pick for such a new tactic. Maybe they haven't had the amount of practice on it they would have had, you know, with like 5 years league experience of normal AD carry support matchups.
Well, I think the big thing as well is that it's very new. So XL may well have had scrims where it's gone well, but I think it's very likely, and we're actually seeing an all in here from Shikari.
Just going to get the damage down. That's a lot of healing coming out from Sendo, though. Sendo does nicely pace himself away. But Shikari getting confident now that he's got that Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah, so it's been talked about quite a bit. It's very likely that XL have scrimmed with this and had success. But I think it's equally likely that Fnatic have scrimmed against it. And they will have gone into this series thinking and had a plan. What if they pick Sona Taric? What do we do? And it looks like Fnatic, it's not so much around the lane, because Inax and Kasing, I mean, they didn't have a ton of pressure, but it's really been down to Dan.
Yes.
Dan has been the one who has constantly applied that pressure. He stopped them from getting the shoved early by showing his presence there. And then he has kept applying it. So this Sona Taric really just hasn't had a massive amount of impact.
Yeah.
And the thing is now is that every lane is ahead for Fnatic. And if you're buffing the Zed or the Vladimir or the Olaf, you have to make them do more than their counterpart. And I just don't think that's going to be the case, because if you try and run at the team of the team of Fnatic, and they have that Kayle with them, it's going to be so difficult to do anything.
Yeah, I think the one person that I truly think has been MVP so far in this game has definitely been Dan, although Matty jumping in onto Sendo, so much damage coming out from Matty with just that Blade of the Ruined King now, and Prosper looking to come through too. Jumps in, forces the flash, and they're going to push onto this tier 2 turret in the mid lane. And that is another huge amount of pressure now coming through on the bottom side of the map. And this Inax Kasing lane really just not doing anything in terms of returning that pressure.
I mean, it literally has just been Fnatic's game to take over. And Sendo does heal up.
Jumping onto Shikari. Exile does miss, unfortunately, but it's enough to force Shikari back from this tier 2 on the top side of the map. Looks like Magi Felix and Dan are going to come respond to him.
And this is a good situation to do. We saw the effectiveness of the Zed when Woozy played it, how much pressure can apply in the side lane, but Fnatic are now reacting.
That's a lot of damage on Shikari. Shikari baiting Exile in to jump to his clone and try and take that finishing blow, but Exile's not going to take the bait. Going to continue that sideline pressure. But I agree with you when you mentioned about Dan, by the way. That's the point I was trying to make, is that level 2 presence at bot lane set up for Matty and Prosfair to get the level advantage early on.
And the crucially, the fact he invaded and killed Taxa on his red
side of the map as well.
It's so frustrating as a bot laner when that happens, because you literally saw Inax and Kaseng had to just give up so much pressure in the wave. And I'm not taking away from Matty and Prosfair's play in this lane. They've definitely done well. But I think Dan was a big contributing factor into why this lane just really hasn't taken off.
Yeah, and then following that red side invade, they froze the lane right in front of Kasing and Inax, and they couldn't do anything about it because their jungler wasn't there to support them. So
yeah, absolutely.
Dan absolutely has kind of stopped this lane that's supposed to be, you know, fairly obnoxious to deal with, and actually has given a really sound laning phase to Matty and Prosper.
And that's the big thing, is that here you'd hope that you have extra gold generation between the Taric and the Sona. You're coming into the mid game where AD carries aren't always the most impactful, and you should be able to start doing a lot in terms of your mid game pressure with XL, but really, Fnatic is still ahead. Fnatic still have the pressure. The only area where there's been some pressure in return is Tax and XL applying pressure in Shikari's lane. Sender's going aggressive here.
Yeah, but Prosfair's jumping back. I mean, Sender just trying to get enough damage down onto Matty and Prosfair to stop him being too aggressive on this bottom side of the map, but it looks like really a lot of the hopes for the XL roster right now sitting in XL's split push presence. Not many people are able to deal with him at this point.
It will get to the point where it's difficult. One good thing is that there is no TP available in MagiFelix, because you've seen how much presence he can have in the side lane. I think there's a good reason for that. You know, he's not going to be the best person to go up against a Zed, whereas in other games on the Quark he was more confident. It is quite difficult for XL to find the pressure to kill Shikari, especially with how he's been playing. We saw when Artorias played the Kayle into Warzy Zed, Warzy just murdered him. That's because he was miles ahead and he kept playing around the vision. Shikari isn't falling for the same tricks. And once he's hit the level 11 now, once he gets to those late stages, I'm not confident that XL is going to be able to win the 1v1.
No, I think you're right. I think very few people would be able to confidently beat a Kayle in the late game. And she's now at level 12. I mean, once she hits level 16, that's huge. A huge, huge step up. And we're still a little bit away from that. You know, it takes a while to get from 12 to 16, even if you are soaking solo lane experience.
Look at the build path coming out from MagiFelix.
Oof.
This is a I don't want to die to Zed build path. And I think they know what the threat is from the side of XL. And it is a pressure on the backline.
Dan and MagiFelix now coming through. XL is just going to take the opportunity to jump in onto MagiFelix here. There comes the barrier, and that's a blown up Zed.
He didn't even need the barrier. I mean, I understand the using it, but it just showed how little pressure XL has. And the chain vest coming in huge. And once Corki has the GA, it's going to be so difficult to do anything. And crucially, this is the great thing about the build paths that have risen in popularity. This Blade of the Ruined King Ginsu's, it's a 2-item build path where you just pump out tons of damage. After that point, both Shikari and Matty can pick up GAs themselves. And then you really just have so little options from XL, other than like a 5-man Hemoplague into 5-man Crescendo. That's the only way you really come out ahead in a team fight once they've picked up those defensive items.
I'm going to be completely honest here, and feel free to question me on this. Inax and Kasing have done nothing in this game, like actually nothing, and that's allowed Matty and Prosfair to I mean, I've never seen a bot lane rotate around the map so much.
Has anyone on XL done anything this game, apart from XL?
No, that's what I mentioned earlier, though. But realistically, Inax and Kasing, they have not taken... They can't even shove waves that quickly. They're struggling to shove waves that quickly and even pressure turrets. And that's just allowing Matty and Prosfair... You mean, Matty and Prosfair, they were bot lane tier 2. They rotated up to flank XL on the top lane without losing anything. They haven't even lost turret pressure because of it.
So, the Taric Sona has been proven to work to some degree.
Yes.
And so, it really has to come down to... The two factors are, has XL misplayed it, or has Fnatic learned how to play against it? And
mix of both, probably?
I think it's a mix of both, yeah. I think you got to give testament to Dan applying the pressure there, which made a big difference. And then Matty and Prosper have just seemed unfazed. Gage is coming in from Sendo, though.
Going on to Prosper. Prosper bumps up lots of the damage. Does manage to dodge out the ultimate with the pool, but...
That did so little.
It really did very little. I mean, Unbreakable is a very good skill.
But, I mean, he ulted Matty, and then Matty just walked away. They are looking for Shikari now, though.
Oh, Shikari does get stunned up. That's a big amount of damage as Inax finally picks up his kill. He's trying to get in on there. They're trying to jump onto Matty. That's a big ultimate coming from XL. A huge condemn from Matty. He actually gets killed, though, as XL jumps out. Dan now coming in. This might be suicide, but MagiFelix is looking to clean up. Inax gets so much healing, but is there enough damage coming out from XL right now? I don't know. Sendo moving through.
Phoenix might just be able to turn this all around.
Oh, he might be able to, but that's a shutdown coming out from Sendo. Taxi keeps himself alive. That's a huge play coming out from XL. And Kasing looking for the final stun, the shutdown onto MagiFelix. And somehow, XL have catapulted themselves right back into this game.
And we were saying they needed backline access at any point of the game. If they find the right team fight, they still have potential. And I think that was the right team fight. They found it. They dived on the backline. There really wasn't anything Shikari could do. Matty went down shortly after, and we'll get a quick replay. So the engage came in pretty aggressive. Shikari knew he was dead, didn't even ult himself. And then Matty takes so much damage from Sendo. XL doesn't even get a Taracle, but there's really no threat because Matty doesn't have that 2-item spike, isn't able to kill him out. Only gets close, but it's not enough. And then MagiFelix and Dan, they come in and do so much damage, but it's 2 against 4 at this point. It's way too late. By this point, Fnatic are already down in numbers. And then here's where the utility of this turret comes in. The shielding and the extra stun are so hard to play against when he has those rotations. So it shows when they get the right team fight, XL can definitely win it.
Yeah, huge bounties picked up by XL. Unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize and go for the Baron. You can see the redemption comes through. That is actually the redemption on the Taric, which spots out the potential sneak Baron coming out from Fnatic as they ward over and see them sitting in that brush. They're trying to set up a sneaky kind of brush play on the middle side of the map while Sendu still has teleport and is pushing that bottom side. But XL do have to be careful here. They don't want to get engaged on by Fnatic. They don't want to give away anything for free. And
crucially, this is a timing window where XL just can't team fight. Until they have that Taracle again, they really are so much weaker. And that's why Fnatic are willing to start up the Baron. They know the cooldown's long. They want to look for a fight before it's available because that Taracle is such a huge cooldown.
They're going to stop this. The teleport does come through from Sendo. Here comes Inax looking for a big ultimate. Hits onto 2. Can they capitalize? In they go. Olaf jumping through. The Unstoppable is there. They're jumping in. A massive amount of damage coming out from Sendo. And XL again, they took the bait. XL's not done. He sees low health bars. He wants to take some names, but he can't. And they're going to back off to Baron. Is it enough for them to get Baron?
I think it might be. It's so easy for them to do Baron because there's so much to stay, and you take very little damage from this. Dan doesn't have Flash. He might come over to try and steal, but the vision control's there. This might just be a Baron for XL.
Well, it's not taking as quickly as Fnatic were taking theirs.
But I mean, crucially, they take no damage. There's really no threat of turn. They will be able to pick this up, and it's the strength of the coordinated team fight from XL. Yes, their laning phase was poor, but the mid-game, they've managed to pull it back, crucially from some very well-coordinated team fights. Because the thing is with Fnatic, their front line isn't the greatest. And yes, they've got 3 hyper carries, but they're not hyper yet. They're just regular carries at this point.
And even if they are hyper carries, if they get locked up in chain stuns, are they going to be able to respond? So,
well, that's the thing is I think you need more than just a Blade Ginsu's on a Vayne before you can deal with a composition like this. Once you get some defensives, you get like a QSS or a GA or some lifesteal on top of the Blade and King, that's when you can say, okay, this champion's now confident to survive in a team fight. But right now, they're just running over Fnatic. And Fnatic really need to put the brakes on the game because they're at risk of losing it when they had such a strong early game. Yeah, but maybe this was XL's plan all along. I mean, I was criticizing, and I think, you know, one would rightly do so given that, you know, you looked at the way the lanes went and how ahead this late game scaling composition got from Fnatic. I was criticizing for XL, but it seems that when it comes to teamfight execution, they seem to be switched on in terms of the way they want to approach these team fights. And at the end of the day, they can 1-3-1 much better than Fnatic can at this stage in the game because we still need 3 levels on Shikari before he really gets to his full potential. And even then, I mean, he's 2 levels down on Sendo, so if Sendo gets strong enough to just burst him before Shikari can put out the sustained damage, then it doesn't really matter if Shikari hits level 16. And Sendo, you know, we've criticized him, but he has been the big point in this game. 2-0-4, got really solid CS, and he's found... I mean, there were a couple of shaky ones, but a lot of the team fighting. Like last one, you got a 5-man Hemoplague, which the extra damage just means you really can't fight. And that's the thing that XL has. If you turn everyone on your team invulnerable, and then you make it so everyone on their team takes extra damage, it's really hard not to win a team fight.
In the top side of the map, though, we have XL. He goes down. Oh, he missed a kill. Oh, he missed a kill. He loses the bet as well. Oh, no.
Harry the Observer has lost the bet by missing a kill. And Sendo just as you were complimenting him, it's a caster curse. He goes down, oversteps, doesn't use the pool. And it shows how much damage can come out
off the Fnatic backline if they find the opportunity.
And actually, I'll give credit to Fnatic. They've stemmed this Baron play bleeding. They've done a really good job here. They're going to get the Baron for their work. And Dan was Dragon. But Dan was so patient on the top side of the map to wait for Exile to feel confident to overextend. And then MagiFelix and Dan didn't even need to burn much to take him down. And suddenly, all of that good work from the Baron seems to have been slightly undone by Fnatic.
Absolutely. And now, if Fnatic can slow down this game by another 10 minutes or so, they'll be in a much better position than they are now. It's never going to be outside the realms of possibility for Exile, because if they do crucially find a pick or the right engage under those squishies, they can win the team fight. But it's just going to become harder and harder and harder when the damage items are picked up by the side of Fnatic, and a couple of autos from the right person can just blow up anyone in XL.
We have a missed kill. Actually, I was told that it wasn't Harry spectating. We had another spectator working the camera at the time. Oh, Dog Champ, you're so lovable. You're looking at the mountains. What's going on, Dog Champ?
Yeah, you're supposed to look at the game, Dog Champ. Oh, he's cute. She's cute, so that's what matters.
This is what we missed, by the way, and that was just a really nice play from Dan and MagiFelix. They did a good job there.
Yeah, and you have to respect the package from the Corki, because you're never going to kill Corki with a package.
No.
I actually think I'd go as far as to say it's almost impossible. As long as MagiFelix is on point and uses the Valkyrie before you CC him.
As long as he has arms.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to kill that Corki. And when he has the package up, you've got to respect that if he goes in, it's because he has reason to believe he can take you on, which in this case was Dan standing in a bush.
Yeah, I think if you're Exile, you look at MagiFelix and say, I don't think a Corki's going to try and 1v1 me unless he's got some kind of support. Although, saying that, Exile is still a level down to MagiFelix, and a little bit of CS, as well as maybe some significant item spikes. Although Exile are continuing to push in this mid side of the map. Shikari's rotating, Kasing a little bit overextending, but here comes Shikari.
Shikari now at level 15, so got a lot of XP in those last fights.
It's a lot of damage coming out from these guys. It's a little bit tense on this middle side of the map. And I think Exile would like nothing more than to find another 5v5 team fight before this game goes any further on.
Yeah, they want to find backline access. They want to be able to cut down some of these carries. Right now, there's still no defensive coming out from Mai. There's still no real defensive coming out from Shikari. I think they both might well be going towards that Phantom Dancer, which helps them out to a degree. But for now, it's still very easy to shut them down, especially if you catch them without Shikari there. That ultimate from him is going to be a crucial part in stopping XL from finding the kills. Oh, Shikari missed that cannon. That's unfortunate.
Oh, he missed the cannon. A lot of healing coming out from the XL roster. Like you mentioned, it's very obnoxious to deal with in teamfight situations.
It's particularly the worst situation is in these ARAM environments, because you just have 4 members of XL and you can't really shove them out of lane. So unless you're willing to engage, and to be honest, the engage from Fnatic is pretty weak, you really just sitting there clearing waves, which again, it's not the end of the world when you have a composition like that scales so well, but they don't really have anything they can force, and that's why the 1-3-1 from XL performs so well. Because Inax and Kasing, as long as they don't get engaged on, they can just sit mid forever, essentially. I think you even pass the blue over to Inax, and they're just going to constantly sit there and sustain. And it means Fnatic, they have to play to this 1-3-1, which they've been fine doing so far, but it definitely plays into XL's strengths.
Shikari very close to hitting level 16, I think. And you can see him clearing these waves out. He should get it pretty soon.
You can see at the bottom left. He will get it.
Oh, there we go, level 16. And that is Kale fully activated in terms of that experience gain and the upgrades to her kit.
Actually, I just noticed.
Yes?
Kale already had 4 points in a W, which means Kale got an Elixir of Skill, which I believe if you get an Elixir of Skill, you get your Exalted a level early.
Oh, yes, that's very true.
So I think
nice
maybe that's why we didn't see the animation there.
Oh, nice pickup there, Dan.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for. And I'm still going to stop this Baron, and this is quite safe because you have so much sustain, but if Fnatic come and call it, that damage on Inax!
Oh, he's so squishy. You've got to remember that. He's not a great frontliner at all, but the sustain is there for XL. They're going to continue this Baron up. They want Fnatic to come closer to them. They want Sendo to find an opportunity to get a big hemo. Inax is getting blasted in these teamfights. In goes MagiFelix, the whiff of the ultimate from Inax, but there's the Taric ultimate, crucially, as XL jumps in. Huge damage coming out from Sendo on the backline. He's popped the hemo plague, and that's a big redemption too. Sendo's still trying his best, but Fnatic are cleaning up. The damage is just not there from XL right now. They can't turn things around. And with Sendo down, there is nothing that Kasing and Taxa can do. And Fnatic, they come away with a teamfight win and a Baron.
Fnatic goes for such MagiFelix is such a bold play. Went for the Corki equalizer to split up to corral the team of XL into one area so that they were trapped. And we said how XL needed to find the flank. Fnatic were the one who found the flank. And it just felt like XL never really had the pressure on the backline. And with the Corki, the Kale, and the Vayne free hitting, you're just not going to win that team fight.
I mean, Sono, and one missile hits Inax, and it's like half HP gone.
Yeah, it's so much. And I feel like any of those carries on the side of Fnatic, 2 autos. I feel like that's probably all you need. And you can see so many defensives coming out. The stopwatch was used there by Matty, but Phantom Dancer available to Shikari, MagiFelix, and Maddie. And this is what I'm talking about. At this stage of the game, it's so much harder to punish the backline because they have these stopwatches, they have these Phantom Dancers, and they're probably going to end up having GAs pretty soon as well. Fnatic quickly pick up that Infernal Dragon, and with 5 on the cards and the next win an Elder, things are not looking good for XL right now.
Night's Vow, 3 stopwatches, Corki, Dan, and Shikari all have stopwatches of their own now. And
it's not a good situation.
It's not a good situation, especially if you're Exile. I mean, none of these guys are going to be good targets for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be so difficult. And you need to find a flank where Sendo gets a big ult and a ton of damage. But I just think it's going to be so difficult to make that work. Right now, the Olaf isn't really posing much threat. The Sona can't get in range to auto-attack anyone. So that Lich Bane's fairly non-impactful. Because if you walk up to MagiFelix and go for a Q auto, I think his Q auto hits a lot more than yours does. So it's just not a good situation to be in. And it means Fnatic can just push up.
Sendo's going to try and wrap round here. There is a ward that's going to spot him out, and they'll notice that he's coming from the side as Fnatic push onto this his turret. Dan's actually going to zone that away now. Taxa's trying to jump in. They're trying to land some slows onto Crossfair, but again, just warding away. No real solid opportunity for XL to find a flank here.
Yeah, this is fine for XL right now because they're buying time just by threatening the flank, but still, Fnatic very favored in this push. They will back off for now. Looks like actually, they're just going to move through the jungle, clear some vision out, make sure there are no flanking wards. This is very crucial because Sendo's TP could be what turns this game around if he finds the right flank. They're actually waiting in the bush. They want them to go in on MagiFelix. Yeah,
they want MagiFelix to act as the bait here, but I don't think XL are falling for it.
Yeah, question mark pings are coming out.
XL's going to show himself top here, so he's rotated all the way to the top side of the map. And that's going to force Fnatic to start pushing in both bot and mid at the same time. I think XL's going to be forced to back off here. In fact, no, he's going to continue the push. I'm wondering.
I think you commit. I think you commit because you're not going to win. You're not going to win the 5v5. I just think it's so hard to win the 5v5. You go for the split push. Potentially even give up this inhibitor, but just make sure you keep the turret up.
Oh, Dan so very low. He goes down immediately to Sendo. Big mistake from over-egging that engage there from Fnatic. And now XL are trying to push on. They have the movement speed bonus.
They just need to stop the recalls, XL will get so much. Tax is fast.
Sendo actually has met Shikari, I think. Oh, no, actually, Shikari's backed off here, so Shikari is back. They do lose an inhibitor turret for it, and I don't think XL feels confident taking on Shikari.
But still a massive win considering Fnatic have the Baron, Fnatic have 5 dragons and these late game carries, but an overstep from Dan cost them that advantage.
Well, Dan's like their tank, right? He's like their only frontline.
And he's not very tanky as a frontline. I mean, honestly, Braum is going to be tankier with that Unbreakable. And that's the one difficulty for Fnatic's comp is the frontline isn't too strong. But if they're not given the opportunity to put damage out, because Dan, he overstepped, didn't respect the damage coming out from XL, they very quickly punish him with the Crescendo. And now they're in a pretty comfortable position.
All right, so as we continue this game, Fnatic are looking for an opportunity to fight where they feel comfortable. And really that has to be a situation where they have all of that vision covered on the side of the map. They don't want to get a Sendo flank because, you know, we talk a lot about the late game scaling of Fnatic, but a good Vladimir flank can kill pretty much anybody in the late game too. He's very powerful.
A good Zed flank as well, because we talk about how it's hard to kill them, but Zed is so effective when people are low HP. You get that extra damage from your passive. And sure, there's a lot of stopwatches, and well, Guardian Angels now available for Fnatic, but Guardian Angels are only good if you put out some damage before you go down. If you just flop instantly, then your team just have to protect your dead body, otherwise you just fall again. So if a good flank comes out, XL can still absolutely win this. It's just getting harder and harder. Now, XL actually been caught out here. The package is there, so MagiFelix should just be able to go in on him.
He's going to jump onto Shikari. Shikari does have that GA. He also has got that ultimate. He's trying to dive away as MagiFelix now jumps all the way back, but Matty gets the kill. And again, I mean, the vision control from XL is pathetic. I'm going to be completely honest. XL was completely exposed with no vision control on that red or even bottom side of the map.
The massive mistake was that XL, he went for the push top, and then he thought, right, they'll expect that. I'm going to go bot instead. But the thing is, Fnatic already had so much vision left over in the bot side. Look at all those pink wards they had from that earlier siege. I think it was just a critical error to go on the side of the map where you know Fnatic has vision, and he gets punished for it. And now, they still have that vision maintained, and the next objective coming up is the Elder Dragon, and with 3 clouds and an Infernal and the Ocean to boot, that is a very, very strong Elder Dragon. So if Fnatic secure that, I really think it might well be doomed for XL, because they'll have to give over the Baron as well, and at that point, I'm not sure what they can do.
No, I think I completely agree with you. Magi Felix is forced to get exhaust there by Kasing, and it looks like they're waiting for XL to come back up with 4 seconds to go, but the Elder Dragon is being pinged out here. Sendo now making his way to the bottom side of the map. This is probably going to be the fight that decides the game.
Might's actually in a bad position here.
Matty's in a bad position. He's forced to flash, and that's going in. Taxa right now. The ultimate comes out from Taric. He's going to be completely unstoppable and invulnerable at the same time. A huge ultimate. Can they turn this into anything?
XL's coming.
XL's coming. He's coming through the backside. We have Sendo here as well. Sendo's still very healthy. He's got to get a big amount of damage across this Crossfair team as he gets a shut down onto Corki. Somehow XL are still in this. They're sustaining. There's so much damage. Sendo is cleaning up, and XL are running them down. Here goes Kasing. Oh my word, they are running through Fnatic like a sword, and Matty gets blown up! Shikari too, and suddenly the sustain from XL, it is unbelievable how much they've got. I didn't even know what was going on in that fight. I thought XL had lost.
I just felt like the Fnatic carries couldn't get the damage off. The sustain, the front line, the power and utility of those ults came in huge. I mean, the person to talk about has to be Sendo. He put so much damage out in that team fight. This Vladimir is massive, and he is the reason they're still in this game. They're going to take that Baron. I think straight after it, they can head over the Elder and secure both of these neutral objectives, and now the game is back in the control of XL.
If they get that Elder and that Dragon, that Baron and that Elder is going to be a huge deal for XL.
It's a weak Elder because you have no dragons, but the main thing is the denial.
Also the true damage. You will get that true damage for the team fights, which
it's a small amount when you have no elementals.
Yeah.
But I mean, Fnatic's Elder would be so much more impactful, and that's why it was difficult for XL, because if they traded objectives, Fnatic could give up the Dragon and not be too concerned because XLs are so weak, and it lasts so little time the first one. But XL ended up getting both after a clutch team fight, and I mean, the person I've got to criticize is Matty. He was just completely out of position at the start of that, and as a result, Fnatic had to funnel into... I mean, that's the worst position to fight a comp like this.
Yes.
Because Vladimir just presses R and he hits everyone on the team very easily. Tarical covers the whole lane, as does the Crescendo, so there's no way to fight in the jungle, and all from poor positioning from Matty.
Crucially, 3 Guardian Angels popped in that fight, and Fnatic still lost, and that's an item that's useless now. That is a useless item.
Yeah, very little stats it's offering at this point. And it means Fnatic, they are now on just prevention mode. They are just playing on damage control. They need to clear the waves. They don't want to fight XL. They have the Elder, and although it's weak, it's still something. They have the Baron buff, and they have no GAs on the side of Fnatic. So they just literally want to wave clear, sit in their base, and wait until 1, those buffs are down on XL, and 2, they have some more GAs available, because right now you've got to be a bit concerned with the amount of damage that Sendo was able to pull out, who is now full build on this Vladimir.
Wow, Sendo has been an absolute monster this game for XL. Now they're going to push on to this inhibitor turret. They're zoning away. XL on the side of the map has to be a bit careful here.
That Lich Bane damage on a tower does so much.
And the sustain as well. I mean, Magi Felix pokes them and they just sustain back. Look at this damage that XL is putting out, and Fnatic just can't answer it.
They're just not able to take the team fight against them. And that's the thing, is that they lack engage, they lack frontline. It doesn't matter how strong your carries are. Magi Felix does have the package, though.
He does have the package. That is something they'll have to watch out for. But again, that sustain that comes through from XL is just huge. And like you said, that Lich Bane damage is getting work done. XL are going to get another inhibitor off this shove, and there is now 1 inhibitor left open for Fnatic. And no matter how late this game's going, XL seem to have that superior team fight. And because, like you said, and I think this is one of the crucial parts, apart from the package, Fnatic are so non-committal. They have nothing to engage and force a fight with. So they poke, and the Sona sustain out-sustains them, and there's nothing they can do about it.
But I mean, the difficult thing as well is that it's so hard to engage onto a turret composition with that ultimate.
Oh, the ultimate! That's a big set of ultimates as Magi Felix gets the ultimate popped on from Vayne. And that means now that Fnatic are open books for the rest of XL to go for the cleanup. Matty does get a bit of damage down. He does get the kill onto him, though. I think this could be it. Magi Felix goes down, and it's Shikari versus the world with no ultimate. The true team fight composition from XL get the first win. It looked shaky for the first 20 minutes, but they turned things around, and they are now 1 game away from fighting their way into the final.
And what a performance. I mean, we criticized it so heavily, the bot lane of XL, but their team fighting went against all odds. It seemed really rough. They just found it. The team committed at the same time. They used the movement speed, they used the ult, and they just went, right, we're going to go ham and give them no space. And the thing is, Fnatic drafted pure scaling, and they had a great early game, but it just felt like their team fell apart in the 5v5 team fights because they had 3 great carries, but all 3 of them just, they had nothing to protect them. They had no front line to provide CC and soak damage. All they had was the poor Braum, and Prospect did his best, but it wasn't enough.
I think you also need to look at the rest of the fact that, you know, like you said, no engage, so they couldn't force things in the mid game when they were going well. Because even if they had the Taric ultimate, in the mid game when they were doing so well, they probably could have forced the issue a bit more. So they had no consistent form of engage. They just let XL get the items ready. Their poke, which would usually be really strong from Magic Felix, he actually has won several games with those missile pokes previous, you know, getting good missiles onto the back line. Just gets out-sustained by Sonar and Taric, just healing the entire team up.
There was just so much healing across the board from the Vladimir as well.
And from the Vladimir as well. And then you throw that on top, there was very little CC coming out from Fnatic. So even when they got engaged on, if they wanted to slow things down to let the ultimates vibe out, then they didn't have the way to stop it.
Yeah, there was limited disengage. I think the big thing, the big unsung hero here was the movement speed coming out from XL. When they had the Sonar speed buff, it felt like they were going so fast as a team. You have the movement speed from the Vladimir, you have the Predator from the Olaf.
Sonics.
It was so fast, and even with the triple cloud, it just felt like Fnatic, there was no way of getting away. When Mai was slightly overextended, I think in any other game, that wouldn't be a big of a deal. But there, he just got run down so quickly. His team had to come protect him, and then they just completely fell apart in that team fight, which was in a great position for XL. And then that was the beginning of the end. I mean, it already sort of been a bit questionable when they lost some early fights, but that one fight they lost there, that was it, because you know they got both buffs and they just took over the game from that point. And I mean, it's a best of 3, but this means that Fnatic lose one more game and they're out.
Yeah, they lose one more game, and they're not going to EU Masters. That's
I think you have to come in and you have to ban away either Taric or Sonar. I think you ban away the Taric, you go, right, we're not going to deal with that.
Because Taric's applicable in other scenarios, whereas Sonar is a bit of a meme.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. When I think about it, I would probably lean towards the Taric being the more... I think the Taric ult is the more crucial part, but I think you just ban away one of them.
Because I don't think many people are likely to play Sonar support these days anyway. So.
No, I mean, you're not going to play Taric support either probably, but I just mean, I'm not sure if there's things you could play instead of the Sonar. There might well be. I'm not sure that you would though.
No.
But I think with the Taric on, you definitely lose that aspect of the team fight where you have... Because I mean, you could potentially play, I don't know, like Zillion and Taric in theory. I don't think it'd be nearly as good. Not even close, but I think just ban away the Taric or the Sonar. Just make sure they can't play that bot lane, because Fnatic, they had a great early game, and they still lost. And I think when that happens in a series, you do not have time to go, right, what went wrong? Let's try and work on it. You just go, right, we can't handle Sonar Taric. We lost that game, whatever, it's fine. We just have to win 2 in a row. We've done it before against XL, so they should just absolutely ban that away and just try and make XL play a more standard game, because XL have shown that they are willing to play a lot more varied things. They played that Sejuani mid. They played the yesterday they played the comp at top.
Yeah.
Yesterday they played the comp not yesterday, on Thursday they played the comp against Fnatic, which was a bit of a spicy one, but it shows they're willing to push the limit, and I think they've found their footing with this, and it's given them that 1-game lead. And that might be enough for them to win the series out, but it's not over yet.
You know, exactly. Fnatic can still come back and get 2 games on the trot. But, you know, the pressure is now on Fnatic's shoulders. Because remember, you know, whilst the UKLC is on the line, for a lot of these teams, they look beyond that towards the European Masters. And if, with Diabolus already confirming a spot, only one of our LEC teams is going to get a European Masters spot. And it'll either be Fnatic or XL, depending on who wins the M&M Diabolus game as well. Because if Diabolus win the next series, then this team is guaranteed one of the European Masters spots that wins. So if M&M win versus Diabolus, then they obviously have to beat M&M in the finals. But it's such a huge amount on the line for both of these teams, especially being the LEC sister teams, where there is the expectation of success.
I mean, both of them, they've been very... I think they've seen each other as rivals throughout the entire split. They've both been looking at each other as the team to challenge them. And although Diabolus and M&M have definitely stepped up, I think these teams, they've come here and they want to establish they are the better LEC sister team in the UK League.
So we are going to a short break, but don't go anywhere. I know most of you would take this time to go away and do whatever you do during a break, adopt some kittens. We have a very special break this time round. We've got a set performance from Mid-Dream LA, so we're going to have some music during the break from a Twitch channel music streamer. So go and check out their Twitch channel, Mid-Dream_LA. They do some great music, so enjoy.